Everybody, welcome back with the Purplatypus is the name, and today we're talking about my boy Ballista. This is a character that's been pretty interesting since the release of the game. They still do a job that not many other people do as well as he does. There are characters that do something similar, but he does it just like very consistently and does it very well. So this is a character that I used to think was kind of bad, and I think I was wrong. This character is actually really good. And also, I've seen them clear top of the ranks in like multiple of these really hard like story challenges, like when an event comes out and you have the rank challenges and there's a leaderboard. Ballista sometimes makes it on those top end teams, which is kind of just impressive for a gold unit in general. So who is Ballista? What does he do? Let's start with his trait here. For gold units, we're just going to assume 5-star because he'll get there eventually. Increase attack by 20%. That's pretty good. It's kind of funny that it's not P attack, so it does include his magical attack. Don't think that's relevant, but I don't know. You never know. It's better than the alternative. If the character doesn't deal any damage during this turn, gains concentrate for 2 turns when on standby. So there's 2 conditions. You have to deal no damage and hit standby, which is kind of annoying because it means you can't use like if it was just standby, you could use like a throwing knife and then standby. If it was just deal no damage, you could use a skill that maybe gave you a buff but didn't need you but you didn't go on standby. But you have to do both of them, so it kind of sucks. The payoff for this though is you get concentrate for 2 turns, which increases your basic attack range by a tile, and you get armor piercing before attacking. Getting armor piercing before attacking, kind of crazy, honestly. So concentrate is pretty good. It's a little annoying to trigger. You would probably only trigger it once on the first turn of like combat, and then because after that you're probably going to be attacking every turn. But if there's ever a reason that you can't attack because maybe you kill something and you're moving, getting concentrate for free is pretty good. But really the 20% attack I think is good enough on its own for a gold character's trait. So his base skill here, I actually don't remember. I think it's powerful shot. We'll take a look here just to be safe. But single target attack deals 130% damage. When target is healthy, your attack increases by 15%. This is kind of a theme of a lot of his stuff. I feel like they're all just like relatively good attacks. 130% isn't crazy. When they're healthy, you get 15% more attack. Like, this is a good attack, but it's nothing insane. But let's get into what makes Ballista so good. And it starts right here at rank 1. That's right, guys. It's the Knight's Glory. No, it is Penetrating Arrow. This is such a, like, I think this is properly valued. I was going to say undervalued. I think a lot of people know about this and use it. A lot of people have Homa. Homa does physical defense down 3, which is better, but she has to use energy. This, after attacking, inflicts physical defense 2 on the target for 3 turns. What's very important is 1, 3 turns is a long time. Physical defense 2 is 40% defense, but also this works with any kind of attack, including like if you use a flint or use one of his AoE attacks like scatter right here, or use his siege ability. This will apply it to all targets. You don't need to apply it to all targets, but you absolutely can. So this is just very good. This is one of the best abilities in the game for consistently shredding defense on large amounts of targets. Edda, like the magic users have Edda, where she could do like the liquor. But this is just every time it deals damage to somebody, they are going to get 40% less defense. The fact that it can hit AoE is also really good. Rank 3, I actually think I was kind of wrong here. Catapult, I liked it because it was cheap. Deals 140% damage to 1 enemy and then knocks them back a tile. I liked it for the knockback. And then if they attack, you get shield break 3, and that sounded really cool, but I don't know. If I'm really having trouble with shields, I just bring Tristan at this point. And I actually think scatter is really useful because right now I have him built very single target, and this would be a very good way to apply an AoE debuff while doing not good damage. But if you're attacking in a 3x3 area, it hits all enemies, so it can hit up to 9 enemies in theory. 70% damage, you're gonna get them all with defense down 2 and movement down 1. Honestly, scatter is not a broken ability, but I think it is pretty reasonable. Reaction, when you're attacked from enemy on a low land, you take less damage, or you just take less physical damage. I don't think either of these matter too much. He's not like incredibly mobile, so I didn't find the Highland advantage to be that useful. I just took the physical damage all the time. Now, rank 7, this is where you got to make a decision. And for me, it's not a decision. You should take the left. But the right is what a lot of people, I think, did take and probably would take. This is like a unique skill for, I think they're both unique, but this is like the cool one, right? Prepares for 1 turn and grants physical shield with value equal to 40% of HP. So you tank up. After casting the skill, you deal 160% damage to all enemies in a 3x6 area. That is a huge area to do 160% damage. Afterward, you deal 30% damage to all enemies in a 1x3 area in the same direction, and then you knock them back 2 tiles. All right, let's read the rest of the skill first. After casting the skill, the character will be afflicted with stun for a turn. This skill, I think, is bad for a couple reasons. One, it's cool. It's not super synergistic with his ability to shred defense because you have to prepare for a turn, so it's harder to hit the targets you want. 2, the heavy damage up front. If it did the low damage up front and then it did the heavy damage, you would get the advantage of shredding their defense first. Also, it's not good damage output. You cast the skill. I know, I'm over it. All right, I'm only human. Okay, I'm only human. You cast the skill, he has to prepare for a turn. So the first turn, he doesn't even do anything. So on the second turn, he casts and he deals, let's just say it's perfect. You do 190% because they're standing right in front of you. So on turn 2, you do 190% damage, but then you're stunned, so you don't get even you do anything that turn, and then you get to attack again on turn 3. So it's really doing like 95% AoE damage every turn for 4 energy. It's basically for 2 energy, 95%. It is AoE, so it's stronger than Scatter purely in the pure damage output sense, because you have to divide this by 2 basically, right? Because it takes 2 turns to do it, because you don't get to do anything on that second turn because you become stunned, and you don't do anything on the first turn. So the second turn you use this and then you're done. So it's actually not good DPS, but it is a decently powerful attack when it does go off. But because you have to prepare it, and like, so here's the thing. Yes, you could use Act Again. You can use a Nana. You could use whatever, Pursuit Order, I think. But that's like a lot of investment to get like a relatively average attack. Now, if you have a way, I don't have a way on my account, so most people probably don't, but I think it might be Karis. It might be someone else, but I think it might be Karis. If you have a way to avoid the stunned, the Magic Hat does not work with this. You will get stunned through the Magic Hat because this counts as like a control thing. If you can avoid this stun, this skill becomes very good, because then yes, you have to prepare for a turn, but on that second turn, you hit for the 190, and then you get to just attack again. You could even queue this up if you got an energy regenerator. So it becomes really good if you can avoid that stun. With the stun, not very good. And it's hard to avoid stun. But this other skill sounds so simple, but it's so good. I'm telling you. Basic attack ignores 40% of the target's defense. That means I don't even know how this all works together. Like, Ballista doesn't fight Ballista. The enemies that fight Ballista, when he shoots at them as if they have no defense. He shreds 40% of their defense. He ignores 40% of their defense, and then his concentration ignores another 40%. That's 120%. But it doesn't work that way, right? I think it's you lower their defense by 40%, and then you ignore 80% of that remaining. You ignore 80% of the remaining 60%, right? So you're effectively whatever it is, I don't know, right? Its point is they only have like 10% of their normal defense or something. When Ballista is fighting them. So he just doesn't care about enemy defense. And that can let you do a lot of damage, even with a relatively lower damage numbers. But you still do have some like slightly higher damage numbers if you do use Catapult or you do use just Powerful Shot. It could be pretty good. Now, so I like using the basic attack build on Ballista. And I think I made a mistake here. I don't actually like the 100% physical with increased crit. He doesn't really care about critting that much. And if you do really want to crit, I think there's ways to get crit now that are better. Just having a flat 110%, that 10% is actually pretty huge. So I would take the powerful attack here, I think, every single time. So that is the skills I'd recommend. I actually do. Scatter, I think, is worth it over Catapult. I would take Scatter instead of Siege and use this for your AoE, and then use your Powerful Shot for your single target. The damage numbers are all a little bit lower, but I think it'll work out a little more convenient for you in the long run. So if we take a look at equipment here, I actually do like the melee mega crossbow because it just increases damage. So you can get up right in their face. You're not very mobile though, so it's not the best. Because I do have the crit, I am using the Star Raid crossbow frequently as well. It just gives you more crit. And then when you actually do land a crit, you do extra 20% of physical attack as piercing damage. And he doesn't have the highest physical attack, but he does have a reasonable physical attack. Watchers have pretty low stats in general, but he does have that passive 20% to help boost him. As far as the gear, I mean, it's kind of a pick your favorite, right? If you're going to be all on your own, then you're going to want a Maverick's Cloak. If you are going to go with more the Highland thing, then True Lens is pretty good. You just go with something defensive. If you want to proc the AoE defense down, you can go ahead and use the Roaring Flint if you just want to bring a bunch of single target. And as far as the, the tarot, I think you're kind of in a similar boat here. It just kind of pick your favorite. I like using, you could use the increased chance to crit one, so you get more crit damage, kind of stack it up, have almost guaranteed to crit. You could use the Wheel of Fortune. Wheel of Fortune is just always very good. If you're going to focus more on the AoE, Magician's obviously a great choice. I personally like using the Devil a lot because I just tend to, I don't know, the Devil is just simple and it's good. And I was using him on stages like the bottom of Tower of Ascension, where it was just kind of, I don't know why I brought him. I guess it's because it was fun to use Siege. But the Devil is good if you're fighting a bunch of things. You don't really need things that help him ignore defense or not that anyone was using the Sun anyway, but you could actually do something like this synergizes with his passive, right? You can make it so when you stand by, you get extra movement, and so he gets extra range on his attack, and then he gets extra movement. But it's like, that's shit weak. That shit's weak. Like, that's not actually something you want to be doing. The March of the Chariot is very bad. So I would take pretty much anything that increases his damage, his survivability, his attack stat. That stuff is all good. I want to take something like the Hermit or the Fool's Nativity. It's too tanky. That's not really his job. He's a little bit tanky, but not that much. And I only say he's a little bit tanky because he can get the physical shield with his Siege, which I don't even recommend running most of the time. So this is typically what I'm running here. I'm running the Critical Strike, but I think I would prefer the other one. Shattering Arrow, ignore their defense, then you shred their defense, and then you just do single target strikes. But I still end up using basic attack more because it ignores defense, so it actually tends to do more than Powerful Shot, which is why I have been bringing Siege just for when I do need the AoE, but it is pretty awkward to actually make it go off. But yeah, that is Ballista. That is what he does. That is how I recommend building him. I want to keep these videos a little more concise, not kind of ramble on as much. Hopefully get you in and out of here in about 10 minutes or so, roughly. But yeah, guys, that's it. Thank you very much. Let me know what you think about Ballista. Am I missing something about his build, or did I hit the nail on the head? Where do you rank Ballista in terms of the gold units in the game? I think Ballista is definitely like an A rank gold unit. It's just so good to shred defense. And the fact that he personally like ignores so much defense on top of it means he always hits reasonably hard, right? If you're going up against things with insanely high numbers in their defense, Ballista still does it. The only way that they get around that is with like flat damage reduction, like the plants in the new thing, right? They have 95% damage reduction, which isn't a defense stat, so kind of annoying, but Ballista's the man. Guys, that's all for this one. Much love, Purplatypus. I'll see you on the flip-flops. Bye.